Hello guys and welcome back to the big data tutorial on Data Fanatics. So today we are finally starting off with the MapReduce queries. We will be using Python for writing the queries rather than Java. This is because Python has libraries which contains all the functions and we just need to call them and use them. So it's pretty easy. Whereas in Java we need to code all of it. And also, today our main aim is to understand the basic structure of the queries and learn how to run them on local system and on Hadoop. So without wasting time, let's get started. The first query that we are going to write is to find the count of total number of words in a file. This is the file that we are going to be using, and we can say that it is an unstructured form of data because it's just a paragraph. So we can say that in this tutorial, we are going to learn how to handle unstructured data. Let's get to coding. This is Spider and I will be using this editor to write my codes. You can install this by Anaconda Navigator. Anaconda Navigator also installs Python on your local system, so it will be easy for you to run your MapReduce queries. You can run them right from your local system. So let's start coding. We will be using MRJob to write the MapReduce queries, and this will be our first line to import the MRJob library, which contains all the functionality from mrjob.job import MRJob. So this simply tells Python to import this MRJob functionality, or we can say package, from this library. Next, we define a class which will contain all the functions of our MapReduce. MRJob here simply means MapReduce jobs. So there are two functions in our MRJob, mapper and reducer, and they will be contained in this class. So let's give this class a name, and I will be naming it mrCountWords, since we will be counting the words. Next, we have to pass a parameter. It's not necessary, but here we need to pass a parameter MRJob because we will be defining MRJob steps for MRJob. That's why we need to pass this parameter over here. Okay, now here we have indentation. In Java, we use these brackets to write the code. So all the code that's within this class will be written in this brackets. But in Python, we have indentation. So we just add a tab. Simply we add a tab over here. And now we start writing the code that's under this class. Let's zoom this in. Okay. So our first function is mapper. Now each function in MapReduce will have three parameters. First is a self. If you know Python, that you would already know what self does. It actually just passes an instance of itself. You need to just add this self parameter in every function in the starting. Next is the key and a value. So for mapper, we don't have any key because in mapper, we are passing lines. So there are no keys at the moment. We will be creating keys after mapper. So no keys. For values, we can say lines. Now what does mapper do is it reads lines. For example, this is our file, and the mapper will read this line first, and then the next input will be this line. Similarly, the next input will be this line. So we can say that the input is going to be in the form of lines. Now since we need to count all the words in this line, we need to split these lines, right? We need to split these lines by the space so that we get individual words. So simply we will write for. Now we will start a for loop over here. For we are selecting each word in the lines dot split by a space. So here we are splitting the lines by space. Each line is split by space, and then we are selecting each word from it. What actually happens is, suppose that you have this line like, hey, how are you? So what will this lines dot split will do is it will convert it into a list like this, different list, different elements in a list. Like this is hey, second element how, and similarly R and U. So each word is selected from here. Like first hey is selected, then how is selected. Similarly, each word will be selected. Let's write the next line. Now we need to select these words. We need to select our key over here. So simply we will write yield. Yield we can say like words. This is the key and the value is 1. For each word we are giving a single value because the count for each word is 1. Now next function is reducer. Similarly, we will pass 3 parameters, self. Now here we can give this a name key, and for values we can say count. Now here what we will do is we will yield the key that we got from here, and that's words. So we are simply yielding the key as words, and then we are passing the sum of count. What will this do? It will aggregate all the values on the basis of this key. So we were getting like if there were 4 words, then we were getting like words, comma 1. And we were getting this 4 times, like words, comma 1. So we were getting this thing 4 times. Now it will aggregate this. Key is same for like words. It will add all the ones. It will sum all the count. So this is what is happening over here. Okay, now our functions are complete, mapper and reducer. Next, the thing is that whenever a Python program runs, the first thing that's run is the main function. So we need to define that main function right now. So let's do it. If underscore name is equal to main. Now, in the main function, we will tell the Python to run this MRCount words jobs. So let's do it. MRCount words dot run. That's complete. So first of all, we imported this library. Next, we defined a class, and in that class, we defined the mapper and reducer functions. And then we tell Python that in the main, we want to run this class. So let's save this file quickly. Let's give this the same name, MR count words. Let's save it, and now let's run it. Okay, let's quickly run the file. The first thing is that you need to install Python on a local system to run these queries from your local. And if you have already installed, you can install it in many ways. I have installed Anaconda launcher, and it automatically adds Python to your local system. And you just need to now install this MRJob library. So pip install MRJob. I have already installed it, so it shows requirement already satisfied. Now navigate to your folder where you saved your file. Simply you need to write Python, name of the file mrcount words.py, and now you need to specify the name of the file, and it's happiness.txt, small essay on happiness. Let's run it. Okay, let's see the output. First of all, it's showing running step 1 of 1. Since we only defined step 1, only one step, so that's why it's showing step 1 of 1. In future, we will be defining more steps when we have more reducers. So right now that's okay. And here is the key. The words is the key and 323 is the count. So that means there are 323 words in total in this file. That's all for the local system. Now let's see how to run this on Hortonworks. Okay, so I have already launched the Hortonworks on VirtualBox. Before beginning, let's first upload the files on our HDFS. So for that, I will be using Ambari. Okay, my HDFS and MapReduce are running from the last time. The files view, user, Maria underscore Dave. So here we will be storing all our files. Let's make a new folder and name it datasets. Okay, so in this datasets, let's upload the happiness.txt file. Yeah. And in Maria underscore Dave, let's upload the script. Here it is, MR converts. Okay, now the script in the dataset has been uploaded. Let's launch Putty. Okay, remember this, Maria underscore Dave @127.0.0.1 is the host name and the port is 2222. Let's open it. Password is Maria underscore Dave. Okay, we are in. Now, like in our local system, we installed MRJob. Similarly, over here, we need to install MRJob. But to install MRJob, first we need to install pip. For installing the Python packages, we need pip. So let's do it. Yum install Python pip. Okay, so here it shows that we need to be root to perform this command. So let's go into root. The default password is Hadoop. Now, whenever we first log in, we need to change the password. We need to enter the current password, then you can enter the password whichever you want. Okay, the password should be greater than the 8 characters. Okay, so now we are in root. Here we can see, let's install pip. Okay, finally pip is installed. Let's install MRJob. Okay, finally after installing MRJob, the last thing we need to install is Nano. Nano helps us to see our scripts over here in the command prompt. Okay, finally now all the packages, the pip, MRJob and Nano has been installed. I restarted Putty and I would also recommend that you guys restart Putty after installing all those packages. So let's log in. Okay, now I would copy the MR converts file from our HDFS to our local Putty because we do not want the script to be on HDFS. We only need the file, that's the happiness.txt, to be stored on HDFS. So let's get it. The command is hdfs dfs dash copy to local. And now we specify the path, and that's hdfs :/user / Maria underscore Dave / and the name of the file was mrcountwords.py. Let's execute this command. And it has been executed. Let's check. Okay, we have the file over here right now. Now we can run this file similarly like we ran in our local system. For that, we need the happiness.txt file also on over here in our local. So let's do that too. Here, Maria underscore Dave, it's datasets / happiness.txt. Let's execute this. Let's check it, and here we have both the files. So let's try running like we ran on our local system. Python mr countwords.python, and now we specify the file. Okay, Similarly, it ran running step 1 of 1 and words 323. This is the way it ran in our local system. But if you want to run it on Hadoop, then we need to specify another command. Let's see how to do that. Okay, now let's see how to run this code on Hadoop. So it's going to be a long code. Make sure you type it right. Python. Now we mention the name of the files, the mrcountwords.py. Now we need to mention the streaming jar file location. Okay, after -r Hadoop. Now let's mention streaming jar file location. Now the location. This is because you know that Hadoop uses Java in the background. So that's why we need to mention this jar file location. Hadoop MapReduce client slash Hadoop streaming.jar. Okay. Now we just need to mention the name, the path of our happiness file, and that's in HDFS. So HDFS colon user slash Maria underscore dev slash, you remember we saved it in datasets slash happiness.txt. Okay, just double check if you type the code right, because it's a long code, it's a long command and you don't want to get it wrong. Let's go. Okay, it will take a couple of seconds. Okay, just getting the output, and here it is, words 323. So yes, that matches our output, and like I was telling, a lot of variables over here. You can see we have total 49 counters and 2735 bytes were read. That means there were total number of letters. Then we can see that launched map task 2. That means 2 map tasks were launched and a single reduced task was launched. Then okay, map output records 323. So it shows that total records were 323. That means for each word there were 323 words and there were 323 records, and that's what we calculated over here. So yep, there are lots of variables over here about what happened in the background, and you can check out very easily. Also, one more thing, guys. So when you close your sandbox machine after your scripts have been run, then I would prefer to save the machine state. It saves the previous machine state. Right now the tools that are running, they are saved, that their state. But after a few times, like sometimes you may start getting errors or your scripts are not running. So in that case, I would prefer send the shutdown signal. But for now, I will save the machine state, and that's all. So thank you guys. That's all for today. Hope you like this video. See you in the next lecture.